Hi folks, John Cordisco back again. Well, round 4 of the tournament I played in over the last weekend, the New York State Open. Played in beautiful Lake Placid, New York. Getting a chance to go there. It's a beautiful area. Those of you that didn't see my other 3 rounds, this is round 4. Please go back and look. Right now, I am 3 wins and 0 losses. And it's getting tougher and tougher as it goes on because, of course, the more you win, the more people that are winning that you also play. So now it's going to start getting really tough. My opponent in round 4 is Theodore Fink. He's rated almost 1,500, 1,499. I'm about 1,400. So far, except for the one game, I've been outrated pretty much. So let's get to it. I'm black. Mr. Fink is white. Now, I'm struggling lately with my responses to d4 is black. So let's get through it here. And as we get to here, I realize that Mr. Fink is playing the opening that I have been playing lately with some decent success. And that's the London or Collie system, whatever you want to call it. So it's going to be interesting to see how I go against my own opening. I basically play a King's Indian. We'll go through the opening a little bit here. He leaves an escape for his bishop. Now, I don't do that early. I choose to go c3 first. But just a matter of taste. Bishop. Now, I thought about this for a while. Normally here I would go d6. And I end up going d5 because I want to control some squares. I want to control some squares here. And you're going to see that causes me all kinds of grief. c3. Bishop. What I probably should have done is eventually gone pawn here. Pawn to here, and just left the tension. He went knight to e5, which is the move that I play. Knight takes, bishop d6. He decides to go knight f3 because he wants me to take and have his knight in a really good spot. I did it anyway, and then I went back knight to d7, figuring that will neutralize that. He went pawn up. And that I was really surprised at. Let's go back here. It's not a blunder by any means. I mean, he's still okay. But few choices. Knight takes for white. Castle. Maybe even h4. Besides to go f4. So I go right away. I figured, okay, I'll stop him from castling by going queen to g4. King has to move. Okay. It's not the end of the world. I've got my computer on off screen. It's a minute advantage for black. We'll call it even. I think, if I'm not mistaken, on a score sheet, he put a question mark after this move, after several moves, and I don't think it's the end of the world. Knight takes. He takes with the f-pawn. If he figures he can't castle, he'll get an open file on my king. Now, this is where I miscue, I think. 5 is the computer's move, and frankly, I like that as well, and that's what I looked at. I just went too early with the queen, went queen to f2, and that's at white's advantage. Queen takes, bishop takes. So now we're in an endgame. And look at this crappy bishop. Can't get out. This becomes a big pain in my behind. So I go f6, hoping beyond hope he's going to take. But he doesn't, of course. He goes after that backward pawn. What to do? Rook a to e8 I thought of. g5. But I just did it. I held my nose and I went king f7. Now pawn takes. And he went here. It's difficult to see what to do. I mean, it's a tiny advantage for white. We'll call it even. It's just uncomfortable. Computer likes rook to g8, but I decided just to move the king out of the way of the rook. It wastes tempo, but it's better be safe than sorry. Rook f2, he's going to try to double up. Now what to do with my bishop now? What am I going to do? I want bishop c6. For then I can always go back to d7 to guard my pawn. He moves rook to e1, which tells me he wants to go e4. I thought about this for a while. That rook does not belong on f8. It's one of the few things in chess when you make a mistake, it's tough to admit, but I had to waste the tempo and put the rook back because I want to bring the other rook from a8 around. Of course, he doubles up there, which is really interesting. Not sure what to do here. I think I would have gone bishop here, threatening this. He went there. I went rook g5 to guard the pawn, plus maybe double up myself. He went bishop f3. Now he's threatening c4. What to do, what to do. And this is a move that I regret making. It's just a bad move. Bishop b5. He just moves the rook, and I move it back now. Now he's threatening again, of course, to go c4. And he does. What else can I do? I looked at this for a while and I was pretty disgusted. So when rook to d8. Now I'm hard pressed here on what to do. If I was him, I'd probably go rook c1, maybe even h4 or b4, but he decided to move the king to c3. I guess he wanted it out of the way. I moved the bishop back to a8. I'm thinking to myself, okay, it also is the computer's choice, which I'm pretty proud about. Rook to g3 was the other choice for the computer. I'm thinking to myself, this bishop needs to guard this pawn. But also, I want to take it sometime. And I can't because the bishop's hanging. If I move the bishop back to here, at least my rook is protecting it. That was my thinking. And that was a move I kind of pulled out of my hat, but it works. g4 by him, which I think is not a terrible move. I probably would have played c takes d, maybe even h4, chase the rook a little bit. But g4, and then I took. Bishop takes, rook takes, king takes. Now that puts my rook in the corner, but at least my crappy bishop problem is solved. Now we have a double rook ending, which I love. And you're going to see it kind of gets complicated. Basically, the score right now on the off-screen computer is about even. Rook c8, e4. I go b5 check. He can't take, of course. Everybody thinks he can just take. But this rook's in a good spot. Moves the king back. And then I go c5. I want to open up lines. Especially with my rooks on the open files. Active rooks and endgames are so important. d5. What to do, what to do. Computer likes c takes. Well, close second is c4, and that's what I did. And the computer kind of liked that. He's got to move the king back. If I had taken, then a4 was the computer's choice. But after c4, the king goes to c3. Now, this is where I think I miscue. I should have taken, be honest with you, and I didn't. I went e5, and the computer didn't like that at all. What the computer liked was h5, then after pawn takes, rook takes, king b4, which is very interesting. At least it makes the game even. But after e5, over a point advantage now for white. That was a miscue on my part. These rook and pawn innings are really hard to find the exact moves. Rook to d2. Now I'm feeling a little under the gun here. Rook g6. Computer liked h5 again. I missed that completely. Or even a5. Rook. Check. King comes up. You're going to see it starts getting very interesting. a6. I want to get my other rook into play, but what are you going to do? I've got to keep him guarding. I've got to go king e6. I've got to guard this pawn. d7. I've got to move the rook to d8. Ties up my rooks, but his rooks are tied up too. King a5, and here he goes after the pawns. And I'm thinking to myself, okay, what are you going to do here? Can you let his king get in and then harass him, kind of pull him in? I play rook takes, he play king takes. I go rook d4. What to do, what to do? He probably should have taken b5 and let me take the e-pawn. But sometimes you get in a position like this, you want to hold on to everything, and that's where it's a problem. If he had taken, after rook takes, a4 in, it's tough for me. But after rook e2, I go back. He still doesn't take. And now I go b4. What to do, what to do. Because you're looking at now, look at what's going on here. You got this rook can come over, this rook's in play, and he's stuck way out of his territory. So he goes rook f3 to guard the pawn. I check. c3 might have been interesting. I did look at that. Then after pawn takes, rook checks, king a5, pawn takes. That's a big advantage for me. And I looked at that, I couldn't make it work. It's really sad because that's a really good continuation for me, because this rook can come over. This rook now can get in the game, and his king is trapped. And I should have done that instead. I didn't. I looked at it, but I couldn't make it work. After check, he goes to b7. I go to a4. Dead even game on the computer. I did look at c3 over and over and over. I just couldn't make it work. Now we're on move 45 now. I am so tired. This is the second game on Saturday. And we started about 5 o'clock. We're probably in at 8 o'clock now in the evening, easily. Now he goes king to b6. What to do, what to do. I mean, these rook headings are just tough. I probably should have played b takes a3. After rook takes, pawn takes, king go to d7 and bring my king over. But I decided to go a8 again to see what he would do, and he went back to b7. So that tells me then he doesn't really mind to draw. So I tried it one more time. Now we have a twofold repetition. Now I've got to make up my mind what to do here. And this I took a lot of time. A lot of time. When you're playing, it's 40 moves in 100 minutes with 30 minutes added on sudden death, second time control. I mean, we weren't pressured for time, but you can't waste it either. And I probably spent a good 15 minutes, which is a long time in these time controls, trying to break through somehow. I'm thinking maybe go here. If he takes here first, then I take. Rook takes. That's no good. So I decided to go for it. I knew I couldn't lose, but let's see if I could pull a one on my rook d3. Now he's got to play this just right. He plays rook takes. I play pawn takes. And now it's a tiny advantage for me. It's opened up quite a bit. He has to go rook to d2 basically. Now I take, he takes, I take. Alright, I'm a pawn up. Big deal. But I can't save my d-pawn. So this is where it starts getting really, really tough. Because I'm thinking to myself, maybe I can win this. King c5. I go rook a4, go right after the pawn right away. Pawn takes, pawn takes. And right now it's an over-point advantage for me. I got the computer on off screen. Actually it says 1.11. It advises him to go to rook to a3 or rook to d4. Or excuse me, rook b3, rook a3. What am I thinking? And I didn't think this was that bad of a move. He went rook d8, and the computer hated it. Right now, it's a 2.5, almost, well, coming up on 3-point advantage for black. So I'm looking and I'm looking and I'm looking, and I see this continuation here. Rook e3, h4. I probably should have played check first, just to get the king backed off. But I went king f7, which the computer didn't hate, but he went g5. And that, I think, was his losing move. We were both getting really tired. This was a long, long game. Second game of the day. I'll be 62 this November. The gentleman looked at least late 60s, early 70s, so he was probably tired. Computer liked him to play rook d7, check, and after king comes up, h5, king, rook f7. That was a continuation that he liked. I think I'm in good shape here. But of course, I don't have the luxury of having a computer on off screen. I make the computer move. He takes back. It still wants me to check. Because you can see, if I check, he can't come this way, or I come back and check, and he loses the rook. That I completely missed, I have to admit. But I went king g6. And he went rook to d7. And the computer hated it. Absolutely hated that move. Now it's a 3.5-point advantage for me. I decided to go after the pawn. Rook, king checks. King takes. Rook e6. King over. Rook h6. I go back to g7. There's nothing he can do. His king is just too far away. Rook h5 check. My king comes up. He decides to go after the pawn. I look at it and I thought to myself, okay, you've got to figure this out now. You've got to figure this out in the fact that can his king get back in the corner, and he can't. So I played rook f7. Because now it's going to be really tough for him. I probably should have went e4 instead. Because after e4, rook checks, king f3, check, rook blocks, and it comes out the same. He's stuck. Rook takes, e3, and black is losing. But after rook f7, I let him take it. He probably thought that after the exchange, and my king ended up here, that he could get back and try to stop my pawn. But no. After that, he has to take. King goes to d4. I go f4. He goes d3. I go f3, and he's blocked out completely. King d4. And I go h5, king, pawn, and that's where he resigned. To give you an idea how it ended up, something like this. mate or something similar to that. But right here is where the gentleman resigned. It was a really hard-fought game at both our parts. I just managed to pull it off at the end, and I was really happy. It's a 5-round tournament, and this is round 4, and I'm 4-0. And after this game, I looked at the standings, and I was in first place by a half a point. Now, in all the tournaments I played except for Millionaire Chess in Las Vegas, which almost everybody got prize money, $1,000 entry fee, you better get something. Any other tournament that I played, especially Bill Goitzberg's tournament, this one was Continental Chess Association. In all the tournaments I've played, I've never cashed out any money. So here I am, round 4 of a 5-round tournament, and I'm ahead by a half a point. All I have to do is draw the next game, and I'm good. So look for Game 5 to come up here soon. And so 4-0, let's see if I can pull this off and sweep it. But until then, folks, I want you to remember that if you think chess is just a game, you're not playing it right. Take care, folks. Bye-bye.